We're reviewing the new Hayley Williams record titled Petals for Armor. And the first song is Simmer Down. What do you think of this one?
So, I think I'd like to begin by just letting you know that I have stopped handwriting my notes so that I don't have to decipher the hieroglyphs. I have started using Google Docs. I've written everything out, so it should be much easier. Simmer, I thought it was a catchy start. There's a cool bass line going. I like the percussion that was going in that. Those are themes that are going to follow for pretty much the whole album. So by the end of the album, you'll have heard me say that probably 20 times. I thought the production overall fit well with her voice. And again, I thought it was a solid start.
Yeah, it does kick off it sounds very gray. It's very stripped back. I did like the songwriting a lot. She's talking about restraint and the idea of the practicality of it, but as much as its practicality in contrast with how much it's affecting her mentally or emotionally. Because what?
The practicality of what?
Practicality of restraint. So she's kind of pondering in the song themes about maybe it's some sort of male figure. I'm not sure if it's her former husband or maybe her father or somebody else, but I think it's her husband because she mentions her marriage quite a lot in this album.
Is she married?
Not anymore.
Not to me. That's crazy.
Damn, son. Yeah. I thought it was a great way to open off the record. What about Leave It Alone? What'd you think of this one?
So again, bassline percussion, big fan. I like the themes that she kind of explored in here. It felt like she was, I guess, examining the bitter pain that accompanies loss oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of felt like she, at least within the song itself, wasn't really able to find peace with that loss, whatever she experienced. That was a question. It's funny you mentioned her marriage, her past marriage, because I had wondered what her relationship history was, especially by the end of the song. I felt like that context would have helped me kind of understand where she was coming from with the music. And I think as far as more of the production, there was one point in the song where the violins kind of come in at some point. They kind of swell, like it's a horror movie, just for a moment. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hayley's very gloomy vocal performance is great on the song, and like you said, she's tackling the feeling of kind of getting out of a funk or that kind of position you're in, or that position you're in where life isn't as fruitful, but once you get into the point oh, I'm enjoying life again, everyone that's you want to enjoy it with starts dying off. So I thought that actually stuck a chord with me because recently we had a friend pass a couple weeks ago. So I thought I connected to it a lot, and it was pretty interesting to hear because I don't think there's anything else on the album that talks about this or death in this kind of way. So.
For sure. I haven't personally had anyone close to me pass away anytime recently, but I've definitely experienced loss, as I'm sure many, if not all of us, have or will at some point in our lives. So this one. It definitely felt very, very personable, and I like this one.
Okay. All right. Moving on is Cinnamon. What you think about this one?
So Cinnamon, I wasn't crazy about it at the start, but then after that one line where she's citrus, I think it was citrus and cinnamon was the line, and then everything came in at that one point. And I realized, in that moment, that I might not be a Paramore fan. I might just be a Hayley Williams fan, which is okay. I kind of like this song, too, because it felt even within her music, and I think within just kind of love music, there's a lot of songs about, anger, sadness, or bitterness. But I felt that within Cinnamon, and I guess by extension within this album, it felt like she was embracing her status as either single or having maybe accepted that she's moved on from this past relationship or past male figure. I'm trying to remember what line she said. She's I'm not lonely, I'm free or something. It was some line like that. yeah, overall, I that was one of my top songs. I like Cinnamon.
Oh, really? Yeah. I wasn't too crazy about it. I did like the kind of like the minimalism about it. I also like the lyrics, like you said. It's not really like focusing on like tragedy or anything. She mentions kind of like what she does at home, like her routine, like talking to her dog and like eating breakfast and stuff like that. So I thought this early it was a interesting change of pace to go with, especially since after this song it only gets like a bit like more emotionally darker. So,
Mhm.
but like musically, I didn't like it at all. Like I like the songwriting. I think that's an enjoyable quality, but I did not like the hook on here. Wasn't my cup of tea.
The cinnamon, no, not a fan.
It's okay. It's not bad.
Damn,
It's just kind of a
Jesus, man.
for me at least for me.
Yeah,
All right. What
not a
about
fan of cinnamon. Noted.
all right? What about creeping? What you think about this one?
Dude, creeping.
Do the creep.
Wait. Oh, that's a throwback. Also, wait. So, did she produce this whole album like during coronavirus, like at her house?
I don't know.
Okay. No, because you just mentioned like she was talking to her dog and stuff like that. So I wondered if, yeah. Anyway, it's
Well, the
okay.
thing with this album's like release cycle is that she had two EPs before this album came out, and those EPs had like 5 songs each. So the first 5 songs on this album were on the first one. I think they came out in like January. The second one, uh, the second batch of tracks came out in March, and there was no third EP. The album technically was like the entire package. So that song technically was written before the whole quarantine and coronavirus pandemic, but yeah, it's very interesting considering the situation we're in. It's very coincidental, but
For sure.
yeah. All right, so creeping.
So Creepin, I think she begins to kind of show me. I guess what I appreciated about her in some of her past music, like in After Laughter, or maybe not in After Laughter, but I like just her vocals. Like even if you take away a lot of the instrumentals or any effects or anything, I just like her voice.
Mhm.
But I felt like within this album and within this album, she kind of did showcase that she can kind of like alter her voice like some more and just kind of play around with it, and it still like sounds pretty great and can fit in with like what she's doing in the song. I guess Creepin' felt a little more modern than I guess some of her past music that I knew, and it felt like it was kind of like that indie song that you might see in some cutscene of some guy like going around a party just really drunk. There was also this like blues guitar that came in a little bit here and there, just very faintly.
Mm-hmm.
She just kind of teased it. I wish there was just a little more of that, but that was really my only gripe with that song.
Yeah, I think for me, I think this far into the album, I know it's only like the 4th track, but it had like the most apparent groove because the last 3 songs are kind of like these like laid back pieces of like art rock. This one's more like I wouldn't say it's a club jam or anything like that, but it's definitely more like something you would hear at like a party, like nonchalantly, instrumentally speaking. I did like the vampiric motif of it, like sucking the life out of someone and hanging on to their memories. Kind of saying like you have like that taste of that person or like the life experience that you had and you just can't get it out of your mouth. I thought that was interesting, and I also like the line where she kind of says like she mentions that a relationship starts off so innocent, and then by the end of it, both parties have no idea what to do to like get out of it. So I thought that was an interesting dynamic to pull in because it does factor in with the other song topics for the songs that are following this one. I will say like musically the chorus is a bit rough, but I did like the post chorus a lot. Anything else you want to add to it?
I just gotta say too, I know we haven't finished the album, but I was a really big fan of this album, and it might partly be because I've been trying to restrict how much carbs like I've been intaking, and my mom made some stromboli, so I just crushed like 4 slices of that. Tasted great, so that may or may not have biased me during this whole review.
Good to know.
And then there were plenty of carbs. It was great.
Good to know. Next track is Sudden Desire. What you think of this one?
Sudden Desire, Let me read through my notes. So I felt like this one was a little more bare bones. Like there wasn't too much going on, and then kind of like this grungy bass kicks in. It felt like there was a lot of emphasis just on her singing and on her narrative with this male figure. I'm not sure if it's the same one that we've mentioned previously, or if it's a new one. Again, I think understanding her relationship history would be helpful here. Also, kind of like a question for you. I felt like it was an interesting look kind of maybe into like, I don't know, do you feel like feminine desire or lust or whatever you'd call it is different from masculine desire? Is there a difference, or do you feel like it's the same?
I think in like if we're talking about like real life discussion, it might be a little bit different, but I think here she's not really using that as like a way to like differentiate men and women. It's more of a personal thing that like people can relate to, because I think this track actually does lead into like into the next one, because the next track on here she admits to having an affair in her previous relationship. So here
I
it's
totally
like,
missed that.
yeah, but like I think musically I did like the rolling bass of it. Yeah, it's kind of stripped back, but it felt very spherical, not spherical. How the hell do I say this? It like cycles around the entire like soundscape, which I really enjoyed. The core melody of the track is great, and the theme of the song does go over like lust, or like having this urge to like be with somebody even if you don't actually want them. It's more like a primal urge to. It's like snoo snoo. If you've ever seen Futurama, it's just primal.
It's been a minute since I've seen Futurama. I actually don't remember Snoo Snoo.
Dude, those big Amazonian women.
No, it's been a minute. Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, you got anything else to add to this one?
No.
Okay. Next one is Dead Horse. What did you think about this one?
Ooh, big fan. Other than the fact that I totally missed that she has an affair and I need to clearly get my ears checked. Yeah, I love this song. Yeah, I just really love the tropical groove, like the tropical beats. Yeah, beat it like a dead horse, beat it like a drum, baby. It was really catchy. I think it was my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, it was very poppy in comparison with like everything else. Like in terms of like it's like contemporary, in terms of like contemporary pop with like other artists, it worked pretty well. Yeah, as I said, she's kind of singing about her relationship, how like kind of turmoil, or no, how tumultuous it was, to the point where like she kind of had an affair, but like it still didn't really like satisfy anything. And I think the whole dead horse motif kind of goes both ways, or not both ways. It has like a couple different meanings. So like maybe one of them is like she was in the relationship for too long, or another meaning could be that she writes about her marriage like over and over again and how much of an effect it had on her.
That was what I thought.
Yeah, so I think it was very compelling in terms of like its songwriting. I will say like the poppiness of it kind of, for me, doesn't really accentuate the theme of the track a lot. Like when you hear like the first two songs, they're very stripped back and very like bare. Like Hayley is the prime focus of those songs. I felt like something like that would have definitely made this much more appealing to me, but I still thought it was good.
Do you think she talks about her previous marriage too much in her music?
I think she does, but it's kind of like Fiona Apple. I know you haven't like listened to her, but it's like she will sing about the same topic, but she'll always bring like a different light or a different perspective into it. So I'm never like bothered. I'm always intrigued. Like, well, what now? You know, what are you gonna add to it, or how are you gonna make it? How are you gonna make me see this differently, or something like that? So, which is actually impressive because this is her first like debut album by herself. So that was good. Okay,
I was actually really surprised. I did not realize that was her first like debut album. I thought that was a really strong start.
Yeah. Next one is My Friends.
I honestly don't have much feedback for this song or anything to really say about it. I kind of wanted to listen to Dead Horse again, so I kind of zoned out for My Friend. I will say I hope Hayley Williams is one of those people, like we take her head, we freeze it, and we get to have her personality and her vocals for eternity.
You don't need to do that. You could literally just morph mine into hers.
Morph your head or your voice into hers.
My voice, dumbass.
We could do a deep fake. We could deep fake Hayley over here.
All right, so for me, this song is kind of like an ode to a best friend. She kind of mentions like keeping secrets for each other, being there for each other, along with like other qualities you would get in a friendship. There's a very strong feeling of like trust in this bond, especially in the outro where she kind of like repeats escape death together, stay safe together. I think the instrumental was all right. I did like the key embellishments to kind of make it a bit more sparkly, but yeah, overall I thought it was really good.
Yes, please help Hayley Williams escape death by freezing her and preserving her voice for all eternity.
Bruh. All right, next one is Over Yet.
Yeah, so this one was like 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of dance pop that like I saw a B-list Disney cast dancing to on Dance Dance Revolution right after I'm Han Solo.
I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo.
Yeah. No, but seriously though, I think this song, I think it did get a little repetitive for me by the end, but I thought it had a positive message. She talked about how when you persist, you can go farther. And she says to make persistence your friend. Mm-hmm. And so I'm definitely for the positive message and the good vibes. As I'm sure most can relate. We all have to overcome adversity, at some point in our lives. And it makes us stronger. We might not realize it then, but at some point we do.
Only through conflict do we evolve. It's a Doomfist reference, so don't worry about that. Okay.
I think I played Overwatch like maybe once. I bought it because someone asked me to, and then unfortunately never followed through really with it.
It's so boring now. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I love the song. It's like a glossy, like post-punk song, or it's like a post-punk disco song. It's very, very shiny. Yeah, the song topic is about like persevering through hardships and like making like the hurt your friend. Like if I didn't know this was Hayley Williams, I swear to you, I thought this would be like an Andrew WK ripoff, because that's most of what Andrew's music is. And I loved it. Like the core melody is awesome. The rhythmic atmosphere is infectious as hell, and I think she's able to adapt really well to the sound, considering like most of that we've heard her before, like outside of this album, has been mostly like punk rock and pop rock and and some new wave, but not in like this kind of sound. So I'm all for the sonic diversity.
Did Andrew have a drug problem?
Yeah, he had a massive one, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He also broke his hand playing piano on a British live show. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was so funny. Didn't he keep going too?
Yeah, he kept like pounding it, and he was like.
What was he trying to do? Was he trying to break the piano?
I don't fucking know what he was doing. The host didn't even know what they were. They were like, "Andrew, are you okay? Andrew,
Andrew, are you all right?" That's great.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is Roses, Lotus, Violet, Iris. What do you think of this one?
Going into it, I was thinking that's kind of a weird title. This is probably going to be a hit or miss for me.
Guess they never
miss. It turned out to be a hit for me. Well, not so much a hit, I'd say, so much as it just kind of hit me like in the in the heart. From what I could hear, she talked about, well, obviously flowers, and kind of comparing, I guess, these flowers to wilted women that maybe feel drained after relationships. I think she talked about women beyond just herself, but I think the focus was on herself, of course. One of the lines that she said stuck out to me. She says, "I will not compare other beauty to mine and become a thorn in my own side." That's a line that I really resonate with, because that's something that I've really had to work through at college, is just realizing that comparing yourself with comparing your accomplishments to that of other people is always, like, it might be tempting, but it's actually counterproductive. It prevents you from appreciating, the good that you do, and just inhibits you from just moving forward and accepting yourself. I like this song. And then another line that struck me was, she says, "I won't return to the place I once was," and I'm paraphrasing here. I might not quote it properly. Mm-hmm. "I won't return to the place I once was. I'll break through the earth and come up soft and wild." I like this song a lot.
Yeah, I liked it too. This actually features a Boy Genius. They're like an indie rock super group. They don't have any verses, but they're like they do the background vocals, and I think their influence here, at least for me, since I've heard their music, is very apparent. It's very like artsy emo-ish in a way. I did like the somber orchestral undertones on the instrumental, and I also agree with you. I think the empowerment of femininity is very well done here, because it's not talking down on like men or like other forms of behaviors. It's very reflective on the behaviors and mentalities of like a feminist mindset. It wasn't like forced or anything. It just felt like a very interesting insight to how Hayley views this issue.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point you make. And actually, now that I think about it, I think it does kind of fit in well with the last song, Over Yet, right?
Yeah.
Where in Over Yet, she's talking about persistence and how it makes you stronger to like make that pain, make that struggle your friend. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like if you're comparing her or comparing women to flowers, it seemed like she really contributed something new to this, I guess, garden metaphor, in which even if the garden seems barren, or if like you're not being taken care of, like she doesn't care. She kind of just springs forward and keeps growing, which I thought was inspiring.
Mm-hmm. All right, the next one is Why We Ever. What do you think of this one?
So I listened to this whole album before we reviewed it, and it's like 10 p.m. at night. Mm-hmm. And at some point during the song, there's like a bird that just starts chirping. So I was like in my kitchen listening to it, and I like look around. I'm like, wait a minute, like what's going on? Like something's up. Like COVID's got the birds on the loose or something. Then I realized now it was just like in the song. I like this song. I think just generally, I like this album. I think I'll definitely emphasize songs that like really struck me or that I really liked. I didn't really have anything bad to say about this one. Like she kind of comes in, I don't know if they were harmonies, but she just kind of, I guess, matches her own voice several times. I like when the guitar comes in a little bit. I swear there's a little bit of xylophone too. Midway through the song, she struck me as really vulnerable. She talks about being at home for the weekend again and drawing circles, I think, on the floor to prevent her from hurting herself. I don't know if she meant physically or just maybe playing events out in her head and kind of torturing herself mentally. And for the rest of that song, for the rest of that like 2 minutes, she just talks about wanting to, she says, I just want to talk it out. Sorry for freaking you out. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I agree. I really like this one. I think this is personally my favorite one on the album. It's like a very beautiful slow jam. There's like these like splashes of like disco and a piano ballad. However, I think my favorite thing about the song is the way it progresses. Like it starts off with this like soft dance track. It's very like fluttery, and it like transitions like midway through to like a very emotional ending, which is like amazing. Like with the piano chords and everything. It's very warm, and I think she's talking about like missing.
You thought the ending was warm?
Yeah, the ending was great. As in like the whole
warm or
what? But I don't
like
know.
Happy warm?
No, not happy warm, but more like I'm being like held, or like something's like. It's like there's no like disturbance. I'm kind of like just standing out in a field, and kind of like that. She's talking about missing someone or something from her past. Like she feels like completely disconnected, and she wants to like rekindle that. And so at first, I think the song direction with like the dance sound is kind of like to be like, hey, I'm celebrating what we used to have, and then the transition into like the piano based instrumental kind of highlights kind of the uncertainty of the future. And Hayley's vocals does that very well as well. I'm stupid. Does that well. Because her vocals do a great job of celebrating the past while being incredibly uncertain for the future. And the outro hits very, very very close to home for me as well. So like I said, it's my personal favorite. Alrighty. Pure Love. What'd you think of this one?
This one was a bit more of a retro vibe, kind of like synthy pop. I thought she was saying cinnamon in the song. She was saying sentimental. So I really do need to get my ears checked. One line really stuck out to me. She was talking about love and hate and how she needs to get used to the former. And I think that, that line struck me personally. That's all I got for you.
Okay. Yeah, it continues kind of like the disco-y kind of like soft dance motif that we've heard like on the past couple of songs. I also really love how sincere this track is. Like usually when I like listen to a love song in the context of the artist coming off of a breakup, usually it's like, oh man, I was in a relationship. You got to impress me. I'm not going to do any work. Kind of like that incredibly selfish mentality. Here, I think it was very refreshing to hear Hayley say, yeah, I realize I'm kind of screwed in terms of like how I think about love and hate. Because she even says in the hook, like, she's admitting to her own inabilities and the fact that she needs to overcome kind of these mental humps herself. I'm so glad it doesn't go in the direction of, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
Oh yeah, baby.
So yeah, I thought it was really good, very very refreshing to hear, and it feels very sincere to the idea of the album kind of being the idea of the album being a very personable, like, how do I say this? It's a very personal album, like in terms of like not just of like emotionally, but just kind of like how Hayley sees life and is trying to improve herself, rather than just say, "Oh, I'm broken and I can't be fixed." So
yeah, I definitely agree that I think she has. You can tell. I think she's at least spent some time just thinking about, or just kind of like working through her feelings about these past relationships, and it definitely feels like she's not just regurgitating like all of the cliched love like garbage that you hear, but that she's just kind of coming at it from a new angle.
Yeah, I agree.
And that self-awareness I really appreciate that you mentioned.
Okay, Taken. I'll actually start off on this one. I wasn't that into this one. I did like the cutesy feeling that she's like dating again and like with someone who like makes her want to try. I know that hurts your feelings, but
this song?
Yeah.
No, you keep going.
Yeah, but like so like kind of hearing her being or dating someone again after like all of the ruin she kind of has described for herself was interesting songwriting wise, but musically I wasn't really into it. It's like minimal funk, but it didn't do a whole lot to like differentiate itself from the other tracks. I wish I liked it more, but it's okay for me.
Yeah, it's funny you said it was cutesy. I as well thought it was just like a cute song about her and him, whoever he is, about them being taken. It felt kind of like it was a shy acceptance of her new relationship status. That it's kind of like a little assertion, this like introverted assertion that she's trying again at love. But honestly, I think I kind of agree. I think there were better songs on the album. But just kind of hearing her, it felt like almost kind of come out of that shell and just be kind of hopeful. Made me happy. Felt like she was moving in a positive direction in her romantic life. And again, just felt happy to feel that, to hear that. So, yeah, that's all I got.
I agree. Okay, next one is Sugar on the Rim.
Bro, I could tell the house was about to kick in. Like, I could feel it. DJ Hayley on the track. Like, I was like, oh, the dance track is coming in, baby. It was definitely different from like her past songs. But it was definitely a banger. It definitely, quote unquote, eclipsed my expectations and was a shock to the heart, which was one of the lyrics that I remember from that track. This one was another one of my favorites from the album. Purely because it was catchy and I can't really hear all the heartfelt lyrics that you obviously picked up on. I'll have to give it another listen and probably pick up on that in the future. But I like this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is like, I think, relatively the most experimental on the album, and I don't mean like death grips, like, but like more like, but more it's like a very deep club. It's a deep club song. There's like these like rapidly strobing electronics and a very driving house beat. I liked her condoned vocals on here, and the lyrics are kind of like describing how much fun she's having, like having dating again, kind of like that thrill of dating again. Um, and it builds off of the previous track pretty well. And she's like making the best. She's making the best out of what usually would have driven her away prior to like her like realization of like her current situation. So like the sugar on the rim metaphor is actually pretty well done here in my opinion. Yeah, that's all I got to say for that one. It's really good. I really liked it.
I might have misheard. She said something about licking someone else's wounds or having her wounds licked and it being sweet, which was something that I hadn't heard before. Maybe it has been done before, but I don't really listen to a lot of love songs or, a ton. So I never really heard that before. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, overall, real good track. I think it's another great, like, diverse track to kind of break itself off and while, like, retaining the core themes of the album. Okay, next one, Watch Me While I Bloom.
For me, this one felt a little funky fresh. I thought it was a good way to kind of bring home the floral theme of the album. And for me personally, it felt kind of like a response to Rose's Lotus, Violet, Iris. Wherein in that former song, we talked about how she kind of compares women who I guess are unlucky in love. She compares those women to wilted flowers. But it felt like within this song, again, she's finding it within herself to bloom. And yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's very funky. It's like there's like these like cosmic synthesizers that gives the song like a very spacey feeling. But yeah, I agree with you. She's like harkening back to the botany theme that she had in that previous track with Boy Genius. This time she's not using it as a way to like express frailty, but more as like a way to express evolution or like a new phase of her life. Like she mentions, you've never seen this side of me, and watch me while I bloom. So I think thematically it's pretty impressive how she's been able to kind of conjure up all these different ideas and thoughts that she's gone through with her previous relationships and her current situation. And she's able to like really show that there is a growth, right? And not just in like botany, but I mean like more as a person as well.
Right. But there's that parallel. Yeah, I definitely really like that too. It's funny, I didn't think I'd be able to link it in, but I was working on my resume today for like internships, and I guess something that's emphasized when you're doing a resume is that if you're going to talk about adversity or struggle, which you should, if you've experienced that, you should always remember to talk about how you've developed as a person, talk about what you've learned, how you became, better.
Yeah.
And it really feels like she took the time to, develop from these past experiences, and it doesn't feel that she's, bitter or angry, or if she is, she maybe accepts it and is working on it. Yeah, it just feels like a mature way of, I guess, tackling not only her own emotions, but also just like the subject, personal subject matters of the song and the album.
Yeah. So the closer is Crystal Clear.
Yeah, I like the closer. The production sounded crystal clear. She won't give in to the fear, clearly. But also her voice is like just bright and mesmerizing. And yeah, I just think that a solid way to give her closing thoughts on her feelings about her past and perhaps present relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, I also thought this was a great like thematic way to finish off the album, especially to cap off like the kind of the thematic transition we had from this very like desolate feeling in the first half to a more like bright, or not bright, but more like illuminating feeling of like growth. Yeah, you're right. She sounds very optimistic for her future, and she like kind of tethers the idea that usually when you go swimming, especially in the ocean, you can't really see anything because like the surface is all like, it's not polluted, but it's very crowded with color and material. So she's kind of affirming her certainty for the future by saying that no matter how far she goes down into a body of water, it's crystal clear. It's like she can see everything. There's no doubt about anything. And I think she's kind of using that as a way to like kind of connect that with her current partner. Yeah, she won't live in fear, like you said, and she's not going to be she's not going to gander at the past anymore. So I think if she ever does something, another musical project like solo or with Paramore or maybe with a different group in general, it will be very interesting to see if if this mentality carries over.
Yeah.
Or rather, just kind of be like, this is an album where I fully express myself, and I'm going to sing about the same thing on the next thing, like kind of like that.
Wait. Were you wondering if she would do the same sort of hopeful theme in the next album, or if
not hopeful
it would
thing,
take like a dark,
kind of like not mentioning her past relationship?
As if she really has accepted.
Yeah.
Accepted that past. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see that. Overall, for me, I thought this album was pretty great. I was thoroughly surprised at a lot of aspects of it. I think musically, it's great. It's very cohesive, which I did not expect. And usually when like a member of a band like does solo material, so like Radiohead, I think almost every member of that band has solo material. You kind of hear like remnants or like little musical dispositions about what made that band famous that you're going to hear in other people's music. But here, I never got the feeling like, oh, this is just Paramore, but it's just under Hayley Williams' name. It felt very genuine to Hayley, which I was pretty blown away by. Her songwriting has improved quite a lot. It's very fleshed out and it's very diversified, considering she talks about kind of the same thematic concepts throughout the entire album, but she's always able to keep it fresh. What else? The verses and kind of just like the overall melodies of some of the tracks are great as well. I think she's able to understand which songs need like pop sensibilities and which songs don't. And what else did I say? Oh, I know it's like an hour long, but I was never bothered by the length of the record. I was constantly interested.
I couldn't tell it was an hour long.
There's like barely any wasted time here. And I really appreciate I really appreciate that aspect where like the entire album feels like it's meaningful compared to like some of the albums I've heard earlier this year that are just kind of like wasting your time, like with like nonstop filler.
That's savage.
No. Well, like recently I reviewed, I'm not going to mention it, but like I reviewed I'm still mentioning it. I'm stupid. I'm just going to shut up. Yeah. Overall, I think it was great. I would give this one like an 8.5.
Yeah, baby. I think you really hit the nail on the head. I don't really have much else to say. I agree with you. I thought it had a very cohesive narrative structure that followed a sort of floral theme that paralleled her past and current relationship experience. I thought her production quality was good. I haven't listened to a ton of Paramore. I really only listened to After Laughter, the one you recommended. But yeah, it didn't strike me as like, oh, this is clearly like Paramore. Overall, and like we said before, I thought it brought some fresh new perspectives to ideas of femininity, ideas of, just love and how you kind of move on from, the past. And overall, I really liked it. On the acclaimed Patrice O'Neill scale, I gave it like a 26 out of 30. Which I think is like an 8.6 or something. It was like right around where you rated it at. This was a great album. I really enjoyed this one, and I am looking forward to any future projects she does.
Great. You interested in reviewing another one with me?
Yes, sir, baby.
Yeah, sure. Alrighty. If you made it this far into this very long review, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.